Hello, and welcome to the Cryptid Room podcast. My name's Elise.
And my name's Anna.
Today, what we will be doing is reading from Reddit some scary, spooky stories.
And then reacting to them.
We have 3 stories for you.
Sit back and get ready.
Okay, we're going straight into this. This is, I would probably say, the least scary story. It was by somebody that was deleted, so we don't know who this is or what their responses are, so there will be no responses from them. All right. So this is from a subreddit, asking if they've had any scary stories. My cousin and I recall this experience at our grandma's house that I had blocked out of my mind. Her grandma was bedridden at the time and the only one living in the house. We were laying in bed watching a show. Bedroom door was cracked. We could hear her grandma snoring lightly. Her room was only separated from ours by the bathroom. I get sick to my stomach thinking about this next part. We started hearing footsteps in the hall. We immediately thought her grandma had gotten out of bed, but we could still hear her snoring. The footsteps were slow and heavy, then got closer. I was truly paralyzed with fear. My cousin sidestepped to the door and quickly closed it with a fully outstretched arm. When we told my aunt the next day, she said, "Yeah, imagine how I felt growing up there. They won't hurt you." We had heard stories of the house being haunted, but that was our only first-hand experience. Truly terrifying.
I've heard people walking around before.
You've heard those footsteps?
Yeah. Random noises in the house. And I saw a post one time where it was, as you get older, you get more relieved if it's a paranormal experience. Because if not, then your house is breaking down, and that's an even scarier situation.
Right? That is very terrifying. I think I remember a time when I was in Missouri visiting my best friend, and she had gone out with her family to some event. I can't remember what it was. But when they were gone, I could hear footsteps up in the second story. So it was right above me, and it wasn't her cats or anything. It wasn't anything like that. It was actual footsteps, and it freaked me out. For our next story, it is a little bit longer, and there's maybe one comment that I'll read after that. So if we're ready to go, it is a Sasquatch story. I was hiking Sourdough Mountain in the North Cascades. It's a pretty grueling hike, like 13 miles and 6,000 feet of elevation gain. I met a random couple at the trailhead and we hiked together. Halfway up the mountain, at a small clearing, I hear a tree knock. Then 2 more tree knocks. I could not believe what I was hearing. It was like someone banging on a tree with a baseball bat. If you've ever hiked an actual mountain, the notion that someone is off trail, way deep in the timber, pranking someone by banging trees is insane while you're 3 hours up the side of a steep mountain. Anyways, nothing else happened and we reached the peak at about 3:30 p.m. There were a few hikers coming down the mountain as we started pretty late in the morning, so we were the last ones on the mountain. After enjoying the view, we started our way back down the switchbacks. The couple was hiking quickly, so I fell behind as I was enjoying the views and the berries and just the entire experience. The couple disappeared from view and I was totally alone. Now I know you're supposed to make noise while hiking as there are tons of bears up there, so I was singing a little song to make noise, when all of a sudden I hear rustling and footsteps over my right shoulder. It sounded bipedal, but I knew there were no people behind me, so it freaked me out a bit. Then the footsteps would mirror mine. I would stop, and then the rustling stopped. I would start, and they would start again. This really creeped me out, but I still had no idea what it was. Then the entire forest went totally silent. It was like a heavy blanket over the atmosphere. No wind, no birds, no bugs, nothing. This was the creepiest moment I had ever experienced until shortly after, when suddenly it felt like I was being watched. It was such a strong feeling, It was like two laser beams burning into the back of my head. It felt like I was a prey animal, and some predator was about to attack me. Total instinctual fear. I continued hiking and turning around to see what it was, but saw nothing. I turned around a few times until I reached a small clearing in the trees and turned and looked. And there it was, sitting about 80 yards away up in the mountain. It was sitting or standing, not exactly sure because the bottom half was covered by leaves and bushes, but there it was. A giant, hairy man-gorilla-looking creature. It was dark brown and had long hair all over it. Didn't look like fur, looked like hair. Massive shoulders. It looked like an old-school football player with the pads on. No neck. It looked like the head had a slight conical shape to it. Huge eye sockets, brow ridge, huge dark eyes. Couldn't see any whites, but it was 80 yards away, and I was in shock. I couldn't believe it was real. I was in shock and awe, and I stared at the thing. When I looked into its eyes, it was like I got total tunnel vision, and it was hypnotizing. It felt like I was in a trance, and I stared at it. I said under my breath, "Holy," and did a small, nervous laugh. That's when it moved its arms. It was so massive, and when it moved, that's when I snapped out of my trance, and my logical brain took over. And the most intense fear and dread washed over me as I thought, that's a massive wild animal, and I have no idea what it's thinking or what it wants. In parentheses, it says, the entire visual experience from the moment I saw it to the moment I turned around and left must have only been 1 minute, maybe 45 seconds, but it felt like hours. It couldn't have been more than 1 minute in real time. Then end parentheses. It felt like I was about to die or get eaten. I just turned quickly and continued hiking down the mountain. I just turned away and left, and I didn't hear anything after that. I ran down the mountain so fast. What was supposed to take 2.5 to 3 hours took me an hour and a half. I didn't stop running until I got to my car. Then in response to someone saying that's terrifying, they said, the silence is truly horrifying. It makes no sense for so much land area to become totally silent. It really freaked me out because I had never heard a forest go quiet to that extent. All right. Thoughts?
I feel like in that kind of situation, I don't think my bladder would have held up. That, like any wild animal out in the woods.
Oh, yeah.
Would just absolutely terrify the ever-loving crap out of me, and except maybe like a little chipmunk or something, you know? But yeah, no. Yeah. I would not have been able to hold my bladder, and I think I probably would have died on the spot.
Probably. But you know, I'm terrified of bears. I think that's one of my biggest fears and why I don't go into the forest.
The bears.
The bears. So I can imagine how scary it would be to see a Sasquatch. And you know, I believe in Sasquatch. So it's kind of like how people say that they love whales, but they would be truly terrified to be swimming next to one. I think that I don't know if I'd be able to actually like see one.
I have a fear of deep water anyways.
Oh yeah.
So, what's it called whenever you fear things that are huge?
Oh, there's
like propeller blades.
Yeah.
And icebergs under the water, and there's a word for it.
There is a word for it. I just can't think of it on the spot at the moment.
If any of our listeners know, please comment it.
Okay. Do we want to go into the final story?
Yeah.
This time we're going to switch it up and Anna's going to read for you.
All right. So this one is a ghost story. I grew up in a seriously haunted house, so it takes a lot for something paranormal to really scare me. I've seen things, heard things, you name it. Startle me? Sure. Scare me? Nah. There's only one time I've ever actually been scared. I lived in an apartment complex about 11 years ago, and other than some terrifyingly large wolf spiders, never heard or saw anything paranormal. Then the old dude who lived across from me had a party one weekend and his brother died. Alcohol poisoning. His body laid there for over 12 hours because everyone thought he was sleeping it off. After he passed, I would occasionally hear some odd sounds, but nothing major. Then one night, I was laying in the bed with my toddler waiting for her to go to sleep, and something blocked the light that had been shining into the room from the bathroom. I whipped my head up off the pillow and looked toward the door, and there was a black mass that was loosely in the shape of a person in the doorway. My whole body started tingling, and I squeezed my eyes shut for a moment because I was terrified and unsure if it was a real person who had broken in or something paranormal. I popped my eyes back open, and it was gone. So I hopped up out of bed and grabbed my shotgun and a couple of shells and took off after it. The only door into the apartment still had both locks locked, and the chain was still in place. Windows were closed and locked. I checked under every bed and inside all the closets and didn't find anything. I heard noises again, but after that, I never saw anything else. I moved a couple months later when my lease was up. So this is a comment left by them a little bit later. Ghosts existing was just a matter of fact where I grew up. It wasn't just me that saw them. The whole family did. Friends who visited saw them. Just as an example, there was one ghost, a boy with blonde hair and a blue shirt, that used to run past the windows outside, and my friends and I would make a game of trying to catch him. It wasn't until I was much older and had moved out of the state the first time, and I realized how bizarre that would be to most people. I grew up in central Appalachia, and most everyone accepts death, ghosts, and etc. as part of life. What do you think?
That is terrifying. I don't know if I'd be able to stay in a house or an apartment where I saw something like that.
I know from experience, staying with you a little while ago, when I was sleeping on the couch in the living room, I looked down the hallway to the front door and saw a figure. So it is terrifying. I had a lot of trouble falling asleep after that point. Even though I'm not afraid of the dark, I used to be afraid of the dark, but I'm no longer afraid of the dark. And I have been at peace for a while with seeing things like in shadow form and stuff like that. So I that one that one figure at the end of the hallway in front of the front door just terrified the bejesus out of me, and I had to hum I had to hum sleep token songs in my head to get my mind off of it.
See, I've never seen that. The whole time living there, I've never seen it. I know that other people in the household have seen it, but I've never seen it. I think that there is a power that we all have where we own our power. So I think that a long time ago, I've put it out into the universe that I do not want to see anything. I don't know. I think I might just be too scared to see. I'm okay with hearing and
feeling.
I'm big on feeling. I can feel lots of things.
Touching objects and
yeah, exactly. So I can feel, I can hear, but I think that I've warded off seeing. What do you think about us having the power?
Like you've blocked it off in what people would explain as your third eye, that you've blocked off being able to see out of your third eye?
Yeah, I would say probably something like that. I just think, with my youngest son, sometimes he sees things, and I explain to him that you have the power. If you don't want to see it, you tell that whatever that is, that it needs to go away. And he's tried it, and it's gone away. He's not seen it ever again. So I think we have the power.
And I think you can also, if they're an intelligent entity or whatever, you can reason with them in a way. Just be like, hey, bro, I'm good. I don't need to see you.
I'm trying to sleep right now.
I need my rest.
So yeah, I think that that is definitely a thing. I'm glad I've not seen that, whatever you saw.
How wild would it be to grow up in Appalachia? There's so many stories
Yes.
that I've seen in shows and read about and listened to on podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
That whole area is, I don't know if it's because of the mountain range and maybe there's like a gravitational kind of thing
Right.
that pulls in paranormal
Well, it
stuff.
is the oldest part of the United States. It's the oldest area where, like, Pangea,
Yeah,
where that happened.
yeah.
The Appalachian Mountains are the oldest part of the United States.
I don't know about that. Have you ever heard of the Wichita Mountain Range?
I have. We used to live there.
Yeah, we used to live in the shadow of Mount Scott.
And I
So
was always terrified to drive up it.
that that is pretty terrifying. It is.
Yeah. So I would always get on the floorboard when my parents were driving up it.
I remember in college, I went back to that area for college, and I remember I had a couple of my buddies with me, and we were, after a party, we woke up the next morning. We were like, "Hey, let's go on Mount Scott." Okay, cool. But I was the driver,
Yes.
and I
Nope.
was like, just keep looking at the center line. Don't look anywhere else. When I wanted to bury my head in the drive or in the steering wheel, it was like, no,
You have to drive.
I can't kill everybody in my car. So, but anybody else been around the Appalachian mountain range, grew up there? Do you have stories, personal anecdotes?
Or the Wichita Mountains.
Yeah, do you know what I'm talking about when I talk about driving up Mount Scott?
Send us your stories at thecryptidroom@gmail.com. Let us know in your email whether or not we can read it on the podcast so that we can share it with our listeners.
And you can also leave comments on any of the social media or podcast sites.
We're on all podcast streaming services and pretty much on all social medias, right?
I think so.
TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. So go follow us. Give us a follow.
Stay tuned for episode 2. Our schedule will be on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. So keep your notifications on. You'll know whenever we drop a new episode. Don't forget to follow and support us, and like and share and comment, subscribe, all the things on all of our social media platforms and all the podcast platforms. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.